Let's see. Wonderful. Hello, everyone. And
Hello.
hello, Moira. I'm so excited to have you here and playing with these different platforms to invite people to this live. We're live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook, and now we're live on Instagram. And
Cool.
just hello to everyone. Happy Tuesday, maybe. If you're down under, it's already Wednesday because you're ahead of the game. And Moira, you're in Italy,
I am.
and I'm out in Texas. So welcome everyone to our live. Um, wow, Moira, I am so delighted. For those of you that don't know, this beautiful being, Moira Bramley, I've known for many years, actually, probably
Thank you.
good over 10 years. And, we've gotten to see each other shift and change and choose different things in our own lives. And recently, I said at the beginning of the year, we sat together and started a new adventure of creating something together. And we're inviting you to this conversation because this is part of this energy that we're looking at with receiving, being, and having something greater in our lives. So, welcome, Moira, to the live. It is called The Rightness of Not Receiving. And I love that title. So, I'm wondering, would you like to say anything about your journey? I would say, we
Yeah.
both have been playing with the access consciousness tools for some time. And this topic about receiving is a big topic.
Massive, massive. Well, actually, one of the things that I got to, I think it was actually in the Prophet class, which was what, 5 months ago, something.
Yeah.
I was like, why does it seem like when I am receiving, like really receiving, it feels like I'm taking? And what we eventually got to was that twist that we often, if anybody's watching this and hasn't done access consciousness, there'll be a lot of things that you might not understand, but just get the energy of it. So that twist that came from years and years of, I've always been a person who's had generosity of spirit until I got too aware. And then I realized none of it was mine, that not the generosity of spirit, the withholding. And what I realized, what Dane got me to see, was that when you're truly gifting to somebody and they don't receive it or they take, it will so seem like it's yours, and you'll go to the wrongness of you, almost like you have what's that word? Like you've assaulted somebody. Like if you give to somebody and they really don't want to receive what you've gifted, it will seem like it will seem like you've assaulted somebody. Yeah.
And
So
it's so interesting because I have a memory of being really young, maybe even 4 years old, and my father drank a lot. So yeah, hey, as he sat there at the table, I remember this one moment. There was always this desire to contribute something, to go and like, because I could tell he was sad. Like there was sadness there. There was something there. And as a little kid, you're like, what can I do? What can I? And his frequent comment is like, what do you want? And he would say it in Spanish, like, ¿qué quieres,
wow.
Barbera? And it was
Wow.
like, what do you want, brown noser? And
Yeah.
after that repeated comment, I twisted that to mean
Yes.
that I was looking to take something, that I had a hidden agenda,
Yeah.
and that
That's
and I noticed that part of like, and even to this day, there's that sense of what he can receive from me, but it is, limited. But I've looked at that twist, or that space of going into the wrongness of me, like, oh, there was something wrong. I came in with an agenda,
yeah.
and you
That
know,
one. That's
yep.
one. Yeah. So can I do a quick clearing on that?
Please.
So all the structures that you guys are using to create the lack of receiving or the belief in the rightness of not receiving, are you willing to destroy and uncreate everything?
Yes, yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, holy smokes and beyonds.
And for those of you that might not know what Moira just rattled off, that's
Yeah.
called the clearing statement of access consciousness, an
Mhm.
incredible tool to begin to dismantle and clear those stuck energies. And we'll have some people maybe write the links that you guys can then
Yeah.
follow to get an explanation of that.
It
But
sounds crazy, guys. And when I first heard it, I was a psychotherapist. And when I first heard it, I'm like, okay, these guys have lost it. It's crazy, but it works.
And you'll begin to notice as we use it, if we use it more in this live, but you'll begin to sense an energy and it's like, oh, and then
Yeah.
you run this clearing statement. It's like, oh, something got lighter, something shifted. And that for me has been the gift of the access consciousness tools.
Yep.
It's like, I didn't have to work so hard to figure it out. It's that willingness to let go of that.
Energy.
Yes.
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
that energy. So, sorry, you were going to say something, Sylvia.
No, no, no. Please go ahead.
Well, just like if you look at the history that we've gone through of give and take or gifting and receiving, I mean, if you go way back to when there was a clay tablet, which was the equivalent of money, like I'll give you a cow and you give me 4 bushels of corn when harvest comes. So we right from the whole way back that we were taught to give and take. It was an exchange rate. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what the exchange rate is, if you receive something from somebody, you have to give something in return.
And that has been that transactional reality of, and also where we tend to judge ourselves, am I giving enough for what I received?
Yeah.
Or should I give more to validate that I am grateful for what they've given me?
Yeah.
So all that computation of gifting and receiving really
Yeah.
limits what's available.
And it does bring up your worth. Am I worth this? Am I worth receiving this without gifting anything back? So it's created that like your being is almost excluded. Well, not almost. It's like the get rather than, I mean, if there is no, wow, ADHD, if there is no gifting, it is unless you are so present, you know that that person hasn't gifted, because you
Mhm.
can still receive if somebody hasn't gifted. And that's a muscle of, well, it wasn't a gift, but I'm going to receive it, because you can entrain to somebody else's energy and mess yourself up and not be clear on what's yours and what's theirs. So again, everything that is, all the energy that's up right now, are you willing to destroy and uncreate it?
Yes, please.
Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, POD shorts, boys, POVADs, and beyonds. And I remember when my mother was dying in hospital, she had had a lung removed, she had cancer. And I remember going in to see her in the intensive care unit. And the nurses came in to lift her up and change her dressing. And she lifted herself up before they could lift her up because she didn't want to be a nuisance. And I that was a beyond for me. I was like, what are you doing? Because she, God, not get too graphic, but she hurt herself by trying to lift herself up. And I was like, that's it. I will never do anything like that. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
amazing because culturally, growing up, both my parents are from Mexico, and then also grew up Catholic. So you have those two combinations, and there's such this embedded oh entrainment of it's better to gift than to receive.
Yeah.
So really, where the rightness of not receiving is
Yeah.
very what's the word, acknowledged, praised, like, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, let me
Yeah.
give you even more, but no,
Yeah.
no, don't give me anything, I will not receive.
Yeah.
That's this pride of,
Yeah.
yeah,
Afraid of not receiving.
yes,
That is, guys, destroy and uncreate it.
please.
Wrong, good and bad, all nine, POD shorts, boys, POVADs, and beyonds.
And
Wow.
it, and it's interesting to see how this shows up in so many people's lives. Like I remember being in college, and a good friend of mine, our professor was like, "Hey, there's this scholarship coming up. You guys should both apply." And it was like, okay, and this is a scholarship to receive money, right? It
Yeah.
and it was like, why not? And my friend, I remember her saying, "Amo, did you, write your essay?" She's like, I'm not going to apply. I think there's probably someone out there that needs this more than me. And I was like, let
Yeah.
them tell you that. Why are you going to not, that because so I applied and I
Yeah.
received, I think maybe close to $1,000. And then
Mhm.
here's the other, and then I think the following year I got a postcard in the mail that said, "Oh, we would like to invite you to apply again." And in the fine print, it said there would be a whole new committee. And so I thought, well, I'll just send the same essay. I think
You
one,
cheater.
I changed one or two words, and I got even more money the second time. But I noticed that energy because I thought, wow, she actually, for her, it was more important that she open up the space for someone else. That in my world, I'm all, oh, am I just like mean and vicious and greedy? Because those are
Yes.
the energies that show up. I'm
Yeah.
so greedy,
Yeah.
selfish, and yet,
Avaricious. A taker.
and for me now, seeing like the universe, right? Now we're asking for things in our lives to change, relationship, money, things with our bodies, and yet we're not willing to receive the gifts that are available.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I
The
think, wow,
lie, the lie of lack on the planet. It's an absolute lie. There is no lack. When you hear about people starving in country, that doesn't come from lack. There is warehouses of money around the world. It comes from stupidity, not lack, stupidity. And I don't mean the people who are starving are stupid. I'm talking about the politicians and the way the country's run and everything. So everything that brings up, times a godzillion, destroy and uncreate it.
yes,
Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, povads, and beyond. So everywhere you've decided that you can't ask for what you would like because you're going to be taking, are you willing to ask to perceive and know and receive the lie that is?
totally.
Everything that is times a godzillion, destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shorts, boys, povads, and beyond.
And that I get, one of the things people often will acknowledge with ease is that when you go out into nature, there's this sense of relaxation and the willingness to receive from the trees, the
Yeah,
plants, the sun, the wind. There's this openness to receiving.
yeah,
And yet I'm like, wow. And yet in our lives, we're willing to, we tend to then struggle, suffer, or have a problem where what's like actually occurring is those blocks that we've put in place not
yeah,
to receive.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So go on.
no, 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 please.
Well, I was just going to say to people, anything that's heavy and dense is a lie. And if you're not receiving because it feels really heavy and dense, that's a lie. So, what would it take to what Sylvia's saying is nature has no judgment. It just receives. It will receive the rain. It will receive the nutrition of the tree that's, dying next door. It will receive everything. And the same as the creatures. We're actually the same, but we've been programmed and we entrained to this judgment of receiving is bad and wrong and lack. So
Wow.
everything, yeah, destroy.
So, part of the gift of this tool of the clearing statement is that when things come up, we get to now clear whatever is there. And
Yeah,
I often remind people too, it's like when you use this clearing statement and you're willing to destroy and uncreate, you can only destroy and uncreate what's not true.
yeah,
So what gets to surface there is the acknowledgement of what is true. And that's that lightness and space of you.
yeah,
So everything, all of that brought up in this conversation, really about stretching our receiving, and beginning to acknowledge the lies that
hmm,
are there about receiving. Will we all destroy and uncreate all that?
yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys can perceive it, but when Sylvia is doing that clearing, things get lighter. There's a lightness comes, and it's clearing that density of judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And that, I started to notice now as we're having this topic, some other stories that come in, and you guys may begin to have your own, notice those stories in your own life, but where you've been judged for your receiving. There
Mm.
was, growing up, and with the level of receiving that I can now acknowledge I had, was such a wrongness. So some
Mm.
of the words that were used is like, Sylvia, you're so spoiled, you know, and and it seemed true because I would get what I would ask for.
Yeah.
But that is such a wrongness. And I remember one time I was in class and brought that up of this wrongness of being spoiled. And
Mhm.
Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, said, he goes, well, he goes, is that because you were actually, was that used or said to you because you were willing to receive more than others?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, yeah, they weren't willing to receive. And that's where that judgment comes in. Like, how dare you?
Yeah. Great point, Sylvia. So everywhere that you have been made wrong by anybody for receiving too much, it's because they have to make you wrong, or they're stupid and wrong for not receiving it. So
So everything that brings up.
yeah,
And
crazy.
everywhere you've been looking to save other people so they don't go
Yeah.
into the wrongness of them or whatever that is. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you destroy and uncreate all of that.
Right and
Right.
wrong, bad, online, pod, poc, shots, boys, povads, and beyonds. So I was brought up in dire poverty, and
Mm.
I used to stand in the school queue, the school dinner queue, lunch queue, and there was only 10 people of 1,000, and I was one of them. And I really had no point of view. I was like, yeah, it's my dad that doesn't work. You know, it's my, I don't have no point of view. And then I became the rich bitch in the village. I was then called the rich bitch. And I was like, well, I'm going to be judged no matter what. Which judgment would I rather have? You know, being poor or being the rich bitch? And I'm like, I'll be the rich bitch any day. Everything that brings up. It's a good billion destroying and create it.
Yes. And you know what? This is so interesting, Maura. And I'm so grateful of, we're beginning to hear these stories of each other that,
Yeah.
that we probably haven't told each other. But I grew up in Northern California as the poor Mexican family. But I didn't notice the lack
Mm.
until later. I was like, oh, you mean having powdered milk in the house wasn't like like a great thing. And then noticing, where my mom would go to the food pantry or my dad would hunt a lot, so there was always meat. But I
Mhm.
I guess that's where that perspective, that shift in perspective of what we call lack or poor, like that willingness to see,
It really is a perspective.
yeah.
Good. Thank you, Sylvia. It's a great point because I was this. We had a very similar. My father was a hunter, and he would go out and hunt as well. And yeah, and yeah, it truly is a perspective. And on that note, actually, taking is literally an energy.
Mhm.
It's if you go to if somebody gives something to you, whether it's their time, whether it's a smile, whatever it is, rather than receive it, you go to an energy. It's an energy of take. It's not an act. It literally is an energy. So it's a perspective. Like, oh, you're giving me that, and you want something in return. So you've already thwarted the gift and the gift that you be in receiving. Yeah.
Wow. And I have this one story that for me gave me such a clarity of that in a way that I had not received before. And I was at the market paying for something, and there was a gentleman in front of me, probably in his early 20s,
Hmm.
just dirty, dirty. Like you could tell he was living on the streets for some
Yeah.
time. And I walked in or he finished up his transaction. I came in to pay for my things. And then I walked out and I met him. He came up and he looked at me and he goes, "You are so beautiful." And I remember in that moment, it's like I saw him, he said it, and I just said, "Thank you. Thank you." And
Wow.
it was this space of just receiving what he
Yeah.
was gifting me.
Yeah.
Because it's also having an awareness when there's certain energies and you're like, whoa, run, right? But that wasn't this energy.
Yeah.
And I remember turning around and I actually went into tears and I
Yeah.
thought, what is this? I'm all, oh, like maybe perhaps very few people in his world
Received it.
received what
Yeah.
he was gifting me with that. And
Yeah.
I was so moved. I thought, wow, is this part of the energy it contributed to him by me not judging him, by me
Yeah.
receiving that?
Totally.
And I was like, wow, that is the generosity of spirit that I see in the world, is
Ah,
that
yeah.
willingness to receive.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So for me, I'm like, wow, okay, more of that. Like when we're
That's the world that I would like to live in, where we just had that generosity of spirit with each other, and there was no such thing as judgment.
none.
Yeah. It's the thing is judgment isn't real. It's an artificial construct that was designed to keep us all separated, to keep us from being as powerful as we are. Judgment was designed to stop you. It was designed to control you. Yeah. So it's not real. It is not real. And that's an ask that you can have. What would it take to know that it's not real?
Yeah. So everywhere you've been using judgment as a way to justify the no receiving, will you all destroy and uncreate all of that?
Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pod poc, shots, boys, povads, and beyonds. Wow. That's moving chunks.
Cool.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
And I'm
Yeah.
so delighted, Moira. One, this conversation, because it is a big conversation,
Yeah.
to begin to dismantle what we've grown up with as real and true that isn't.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Oh, one more thing I want to add to that before we look and see if we have any questions is the other thing that this whole construct of give and take and receiving being a wrongness, like there is a rightness in not receiving, is is to get us to not step up. Because when you start to receive, you step up as a being, you step up your game, you step up everything, you become greater. And the whole thing is designed to get you to go to shame and go to all of the negative, all of the energies that stop you from being greater, being more. So that's something that I would definitely say. Keeping your awareness to contemplate is designed to keep you small. I mean, there are a lot of people that will. Even like local Italian people, like maybe from Torino or whatever, they'll come here to the castle and they will stand outside the castle door and they'll look and they'll go, oh, I really want to go in, but it's really uncomfortable walking in there. It's very uncomfortable to walk in. And there are so many people that will turn and walk away because they tell themselves that that's not for them, or they don't fit in there, or they don't suit the castle, or oh, that'll be too expensive for me. Or so many. I mean, you can come in here and have a coffee for €3, or but people will walk away because it's not them.
and that's also this, I'll say this pride, but this the rightness of not receiving as well. Because I know I have, family members or different people that would probably not go, oh, but it's this pride, like, oh, that's, they'll dismiss it in some way. And
Yeah.
I'm so grateful because of the elegance and um, the beauty that I've been invited to, being at the castle or out at El Lugar. These are, different places that both Gary Douglas with
Yeah.
many other magical, incredible beings have created around the world. But there's this elegance and abundance I did not grow up with. And Moira, I think that's probably the same for
Same
you,
for me.
where
Absolutely. Yeah.
where we had the plastic cup in the middle of the table with silverware and grab what you need.
My parents used to say to me, it's just things.
Mhm.
Don't, I mean, they used to say, don't get attached to things. But they also, what was implied with that is don't receive anything.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. And to be happy and satisfied with the least amount.
Yeah. You don't need it. It's frivolous.
My father said something, and this, like, we're bringing up all these things, but what did you all hear growing up? What were those phrases and comments that your parents said about receiving, about money,
Mm.
about, all, yeah, the opulence, that richness. My mom once said, "Oh, it's better to have friends than money."
Yeah.
I was like, "Wow."
Yeah.
Or
Either or.
or never think you're greater than anyone else because you have more.
Yeah.
Now, that one stuck me for a while. At 9 years old, I made it mean all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But it's also, I get now, my father's way of trying to protect me, because he did choose more than most of his relatives, you
Yeah.
know, to the level that he was willing to receive. And he received a lot of judgment for that.
Yeah.
His willingness to have more was a judgeable offense.
So anywhere any of you guys are buying that you are more if you have more, like, I've got a better house, I've got a better car, that makes me greater than Joe Blogs down the road. That is absolute and utter bullshit. So everything that is, are
Yes,
you willing to destroy and uncreate it?
yes.
Right and wrong, good, bad, all nine, pod, poc, shots, boys, povas, and yawns. You're not your house, you're not your car, you're not your clothes. Yeah.
And I would say that energy might come up, but one of the tools, the I would say one of the foundational tools to a lot of this is to begin to ask yourself, truth, does that belong to me? Because you may be aware of other people judging themselves by what you have chosen, and it doesn't belong to you. It's
Yeah.
not really your thought.
Yeah.
I remember when I first got I have a Mercedes coupe, and I bought it out in Northern California. And I would have people go like, "What had you choose that car? Like, why that car? Why not a Prius, right? Or being in Northern California." And then I
Yeah.
had my boss say every time she'd come to my car, she's all, "You're such a rich bitch," and and it took me a while to begin to receive that, because I would go drop off my son at school, and he'd like to play his music loud. And as soon as we go on campus, Mom, turn off the music. So what are you doing? He's like, you're not one to hide. But I was like, oh, but I didn't want to draw the attention. And
Oh, I've never had that. I have never had that. I will pull up in a Ferrari and go, hi. I don't mean like I'm the car,
no,
I mean
but
like, yeah, yeah.
but that has shifted, and now it's like I'm so grateful, or just different spaces and choices. It's like, oh, but how many people hide the luxury, the abundance, the ease, the joy that they have in their lives, because they shouldn't enjoy that when other people aren't choosing it.
Yeah, and it really is. Now, this is going to bring up a lot of controversy, and oh well, but it really is a choice. I mean, I chose money very young, and when I say very young, I chose at 10. I'm not living like this. I'm having money, and it started to show up when I was 14. I met a friend who was wealthy, and I spent more time at her house, and then I chose a rich boyfriend, and then it just went from there. But it really was a choice to choose money. I'm like, I ain't having this. I'm not, and now I'm sat in a castle. Do you have any point of view about anybody's judgment? Fuck no.
And I love these stories, because it's also we hope this is inviting you all to acknowledge, just because of where you started, even where you are now, does not mean there isn't more to receive.
Mm,
And the invitation to go, wow, if I was to begin to open myself to receiving what's been perhaps available for you, would you have more ease in every area?
yeah.
And this isn't about this is right or this is wrong. It's like,
No.
it's just, are you asking for more?
Mm.
And if you
But
are,
I just, yeah,
right.
I'd love to say this title came about because I was facilitating somebody, 2 weeks ago, a friend, and this is where the title came from. I said, so what's that energy? She went, it's the rightness of not receiving. And I'm like, you have a rightness and not receiving. And then I had to look and see where I had bits of that. I was like, oh shit, oh my goodness, that's in my life too. What, in this area or this area? But wow, my head's gone blank. I wanted to talk about the rightness of. Oh yeah. So what we got to was she wouldn't acknowledge what she really would like to have in her life and has as her life because she couldn't see the how to get it.
Oh, Moira, we're gonna have to do another call on that,
Yeah.
because that
Okay.
no, because I love that. That is in my world right now. It's like I have created and been willing to receive what I have chosen so far.
Hmm.
And I can perceive there's so much more available. But
Yeah.
but the willingness to go, okay, what would I like? It's almost like how many of you keep your little wish list kind of hidden from everyone, or you write it and then you erase or cross out. No, that's too much. You
Yeah.
know, that willingness to, yeah. So yeah, maybe we do another call. But
Okay.
if you guys would like another call on that, like really choosing to ask for, perhaps write down, but to acknowledge what you would like to have that may not match anyone else.
Yeah.
And
And you will have to go to the rightness of not receiving if you are justifying not asking because you can't see the how. It's much easier to go, I don't want that, and to not even acknowledge it and to
I don't
never ask.
need that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a whole other call. Anyway, we've been on here for half an hour, so yeah, I hope some of you guys have got some awareness of the insanity of not receiving, and it's not wrong, it's just entrainment. It's indoctrination and then entrainment that we keep gaslighting ourselves every day with the same thing. There's a rightness in not asking for this, there's a rightness in not receiving. Yeah.
And where can you now use the clearing statement if you're new to these access consciousness tools? Pull out that clearing statement. And as you notice these different energies come up in your life, start to destroy and uncreate everything that is, even though you don't have it figured out. And you might be surprised at what shows up.
It's
So
energetic. Give it a go.
thank you, Moira. Thank you, everyone. And
Thank you,
please,
translators. This has been translated into many languages, so thank you so much. Very
yeah.
grateful.
And we look forward to seeing you all soon. And stay tuned. Moira and I are continuing to create some fun things. So we will be
Thank
sharing, yep, an upcoming class and perhaps another live with a different topic. Um,
you.
do you want to say anything about the class that we have coming up in May?
Well, it's a magic class, and that's literally how I got to where I am today. I just chose and chose and chose, and yeah, it's something that is far simpler than people believe it is. But when you are not willing to perceive you as the space that you actually are, and that's a whole thing that we're going to be talking about in the class, then you will rule out magic. I mean, I ruled out a lot of it when I was very young because my parents said, "That's your imagination. That's not possible." You know, even like I could talk to the dog. That was considered like insane. Even
Yeah.
that, it was like you can't talk to the dog. And I'm like, "Watch this." And the dog would do what I would ask, you know. But there was a lot of things I let go of because I was told that it wasn't possible. So how many of you are telling yourself, that's airy fairy nonsense? So the class is about magic. It's based on a book called Magic, You Are It, Be It. And this will be the first class done on this topic. It's a 2.5-day class. There's an intro on the Friday evening, no,
No,
Thursday evening, I think. And
Thursday.
then that is followed by the 2 days. So you can come to the intro or you can come to the full class. And believe me, you will get a level of awareness that will astound you.
Yes. So we look forward to sharing more with you about this class. We'll put different links in different places for you guys to check it out and ask and see if this class is for you. And definitely a topic that I am excited to dive in and explore with many of you because there is a level of ease and a level of actualizing what you'd like to have in your life that few people are willing to have. So we will that explore that, and that may include money. It may include all sorts of things. So thank you, Moira, for
Thank
inviting this energy out in the world and playing. So thank you, everyone. Ciao, everyone. Thank you.